Just like in England, if you say, "Hey, I like 2 beers, please," you do not do that because it has a certain connotation that in other places in the world, people will scratch their heads and say, "What? I don't get it," right? So optics has it's a science. It's taught in universities all over the world. It goes all the way to graphic design, the way that you shoot films, the way that you record music. People actually do sit down and think very deeply about how you are actually presenting your message in a way that it has an impact. You convey your message, but at the same time, you minimize the risk of being misinterpreted by the way that you choose, the way that you deliver it.
I want to apologize a little bit to the stream here. I was recording in the Riverside, but it wasn't recording on YouTube for live. So now we're live on YouTube. The full recorded version of everything we talked about prior to this will be up after this stream. So sorry about that, guys, for it not being live for the last, 10 minutes we were talking. But Paul's here now, so we get the full stream with everybody. And you're totally right, Tiago, on everything you were just saying there. Like, it makes a big difference on the meta side of things, on the high level, on how you're coming off to people. And I know with Paul, obviously, that's your entire job, right? Is optics and how you come off on your streams and what kind of information you give to people, and even just like tone of voice and how you conduct yourself, right? Like, I'm sure that's constantly on your mind, right?
It probably should be on my mind more than it actually is. I sometimes don't take it into account, and I look back at the comments after, and as you said, different parts of the world interpret things in different ways, and I can see that things that I might have said might have been taken up in the wrong way, or sometimes you put a bit of a joke into a thumbnail or into a title or something like that, and it doesn't kind of transition across cultures. Like, what here in Ireland, things that might make sense, it doesn't make sense then in other cultures and stuff like that. So
yeah,
it's definitely, I suppose, in my position, I can get away with it. But then if you're like COO or CEO of a company or something like that, you have to be a lot more conscious of it, because it can have a huge impact on your business. I suppose I'm the only one that's accountable. If I mess up, I can try and clarify it again in a future video or something like that.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully you can catch things, but I think that's also something you have to be, just okay with, is like, that there's going to be different cultures. I know, Victoria, you just talked about it before, of like different cultures around the world, and how you have to manage that, and you're never going to be able to catch anything. But I think, we're talking about optics and crypto and our jobs here, but it matters everywhere. Like, any relationships you're in, and go to the grocery store, say you get caught by the cops or something, you got to know how you're coming off, and try and make it work to your advantage. I think it's constant, even in our subconscious, of like wanting to look the best and come off the best way. And sometimes it just doesn't actually work that way. But in our side, I think it does matter. I mean, optics is everywhere. Look at, for me, like, say in our chats, I usually try and keep like moon boy behavior out of our chats, because I think that looks bad for a project where it's bad for new people coming in, and making it look like this is just always going to be the best thing ever. And that's not fair, and that's not good education, right? So like, I worry about that too, just in our communities.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Let me give you a quick example. Like Twitter, like when you're doing Twitter posts, a couple of years before, you would write a tweet and you would put like rockets, because it's like going to the moon. Nowadays, it's like complete no, you do not use rockets, because that is sending the wrong message. So what was valid like 2 years ago, now today, in this day and age, is counterproductive. So optics is an ever evolving thing that changes throughout time. And yeah, you really need to be in tune about the social fabric that really differentiates quality projects from pump and dumps or crap projects. And yeah, it's an exercise that you have to keep on in the back of your mind constantly. Just be always conscious about how you are delivering your messages is key.
Yeah, it really plays on people's emotions a lot. And I think for new people, or even people that come from different languages, I mean, like, English is definitely the key language or core language in the world, but especially in crypto right now. And I mean, maybe you guys that speak other languages in here, like especially Victoria, can come from different cultures and understand how maybe if it's not your first language and you get caught up in it and it's harder to understand, and that can play on your emotions and stuff too.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, can hear you. Yeah.
Yeah. Now with the growth of cancellation policy, it feels like every month and every year you should be more and more careful on what you are saying and what
Yeah.
you are writing in every public channel, because, for example, in US, in management culture, I have many friends who have quite top positions in big corporations, and now they have a lot of challenges around what they speak and how they speak, for example, to their colleagues, because they constantly receive HR complaints that they just, for example, talk to a person about his performance, and then this person says that my boss was too strict, now I feel anxiety, and then as a manager you get like all these problems. And same with the social media, like you can say something wrong, offend something like without intention, and you can kind of lose your reputation in one day
Yeah.
because of one word told incorrectly. It's crazy.
Yeah, absolutely. And I know that's definitely harder for different people, like as well, if you're not conscious of what you're saying, or again, if you come from that different culture or background, and it's or language, and like some things don't translate properly, and it's hard. We've had to catch one of our moderators that, she speaks like 5 different languages, so I can't speak because I only speak one, but sometimes the like a couple of words are off a little bit, and I'm like, I understand what you're trying to say, but other people might take it that way, and it's a constant battle, I think, with anybody to manage that. How do you, like, Paul, do you ever have people in your comments being like, what did you mean by this, and you thought it was like totally clear on your videos?
Yeah, you you get that all the time as well, I think, and sometimes people want to play to their own narrative as well. So if they don't agree with you, they'll try and pick up on certain points you said and said, "Oh no, you said this," because they don't like what you said. They want you to say something's going to the moon, like you were talking about,
Yeah.
that a coin's going to pump and it's going to do this. And generally, I've always taken a more conservative approach, even when I'm talking about where potentially projects can go and stuff like that. And you get people who don't like that as well. They want you to tell them something's going to the moon, and then when they don't get that, they're kind of like, "Oh, you don't know what you're talking about," and all this kind of stuff. So it's,
I
think
call that emotion.
that's it. Yeah, I generally try and keep that out of it. And it's the same, even what you were saying in workplaces, Victoria. I think some people can use, unfortunately, the way society has gone. If some people aren't happy with what you're doing as their manager, then they're going to use certain words or use culture as a way to kind of make a complaint about certain people just because they don't agree with what you say. It's something that I know there's a misunderstanding sometimes with different words and different things that people use, but then other times people use that to their advantage as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, thanks God I don't work for a corporation, so there are no HRs to go and file a complaint to. But I
Yeah.
can share that even inside of Cardwallet team, as I mentioned before, for example, in Russia, the work culture is more commanding, I would say, compared to European and international. And I quite often catch myself that I'm like unemotionally just giving orders. And then even like guys from our Cardwallet team came back with the feedback that I sometimes sound so frightening. And I was like, oh
Crazy.
my God, guys, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to do that.
That's fair. You gotta watch out for that. Tiago, do you think she's frightening?
Oh my God, I have nightmares every day. I have a teddy bear that I grab onto to go to sleep and say, oh my God. No. Victoria's I do understand what she means, but Victoria really has that drive to get things done. And people sometimes are maybe too soft, and they don't have the experience of having someone like let's get things done and let's not mess
Yeah.
around. But yeah, and also, I mean, I'm not talking about Cardwallet now, but I also do see this mainly when I see the news and, you know, woke culture or the pseudo woke culture. And I don't want to get into that, but you know, what happened in the US these last couple of years, where, you know, these new gender concerns that you cannot say he or she, you have to say it, and it is certainly to be respected. But what I see is that there is an exaggeration sometimes, that people actually use this as a tool to kick back and to try to stir up conflict and to defend from their own incapacities. So, and they throw this back as a sort of like a weapon. They try to weaponize this in some sort of way. So
it's hard to know if you're being serious too. I don't know.
Exactly. And yeah, pop culture does not help at all, because, you know, in television, in TV series, in films, this gets, you know, promoted or whatever. Yeah, thanks. And yeah, sometimes it does get out of hand, and the proportions do seem exaggerated at times, but all in all, it comes down to the individual to actually assess what is really valid, what is really necessary, and hopefully we'll reach some sort of equilibrium sometime soon, because I do see certain aspects of this getting out of hand.
Yeah, I mean, certain things. I mean, I guess when new things in culture start up, right, it just kind of goes crazy, and then eventually, you know, hones in on a proper, I mean, cultural aspect of how you're supposed to act, and, you know, the rules around these things. And I think on that side of things, it's kind of crazy. And then, you know, all that kind of different culture bleeds into the crypto, and crypto right now is pretty crazy. Like, it's still new. Like, look how many zillions of the same types of projects are still happening, and you know, different chains and everything, and it's all compiling down. I think eventually will be more stable, but it's like the wild west of everything right now, and the world's changing a lot. And yeah, optics pulls into that in every aspect. Like, if you're constantly having to change how you communicate and portray yourself, like it depends. And it also depends on what kind of project you have, right? Like, we have an Oracle's project, and we want to make sure that we try and stick to that, but at the same time, I still want to reach out to the community by doing things like this. And it's like, well, is that still a good look for us, or is it not? I like to think it is, but some other people don't agree, and you have to manage that too. You know, like, how do you manage other people's feelings and emotions? You have to more so just, you know, sometimes just worry about yourself, and how you can manage everything. And I guess that kind of rolls into our self-care stuff. I know, Victoria, you've got some ideas on, you know, how to manage, you know, self-care in these areas, even though you're a workhorse.
Honestly, I often feel that the most simple things are also the most efficient, and also the most difficult sometimes to stick to. For example, I have a habit that when I wake up, I take my phone instantly, and I see a lot of messages, and I can't just pull my telephone back and like calmly go have breakfast and prepare for my day. I start reading all that, and like first minute of my day is stressed, because it's like a lot of information, something always is going on. So lately I have been forcing myself just to, for example, set the airplane mode when I go to sleep, and when I wake up, when I take my phone, I don't see all this notification, and I just first do like my morning things to prepare for the day. And then when I did everything, I practically go to my table, then I turn on my phone, and I'm in my day of work. And honestly, this has done quite significant change, although it's just like a small action, right? And I feel much better, things like that.
Removing a little bit of stress from your life right off the bat. I'm horrible with that too. I have my phone right by my head. It buzzes all night. I'm sure I don't get a great sleep, and then I wake up and I'm straight into work, and I definitely shouldn't do that. That's a good tactic. Tiago and Paul, do you guys got any kind of strategies you do to keep yourself sane and less stress at all?
From my side, no, I'm very bad at that. The first thing I do in the morning is that as well. I have the phone picked up and catching up on messages for probably replying to people for half an hour before I even get out of bed, before I try and wake anyone else in the house. They're getting in, replying to messages and everything like that, and you're still only putting a small dent in what's been there from overnight. But I used to check the phone at night. If I woke up to check the time or whatever, I'd check the phone. As soon as you see a message, it'd be like your head just doesn't switch off after that. Can't go back to sleep. So I've stopped that at least. I put it on to airplane mode at night, but then as soon as I wake up for proper morning, like anytime from 6 o'clock on, I'll turn off airplane mode and start replying then. But I do, excuse me, I do have to find that balance. I think the next few months, the next few months in crypto they're looking like they're going to be crazy. But after that,
nuts, yeah,
I really do need to find more of a balance, and I think everyone in it kind of does. There has to be some balance in it. For me, the last while, I just haven't had that. It's it's on the to-do list. The list gets longer instead of shorter.
Well, at least everyone knows that we're working hard to bring them the best products and best information on your side as possible, at our own detriment.
I don't think you sleep, because no matter what time of the day, I'd message you, or I get messages at all sorts of times, like especially my morning time, which is the middle of the night for you.
Yeah, I sleep at very weird times. Sometimes I just crash in the middle of the day for 2 hours, or I'm up at night. I rarely sleep at the correct time. But my self-care for me personally is just making sure I make time for the things that are enjoyable for me and my passions. And for me right now, that's rock climbing. And when I go to the gym, I put my phone in my bag and I don't touch it. I never look at it for like 3-4 hours sometimes. And some people go, oh, well, that's so long to stay away from, the phone and work, and crypto's always working. I'm like, yeah, but I need to work for me too, and have that. And it's so nice. And when I'm climbing, it's like meditative for me. And I don't even think about crypto and my phone and other things. It's a wonderful like bliss for 4 hours.
Are you sure you're not thinking about crypto while climbing?
Unless people bring it up to me, because people at the gym do know what I do, and it's like, no, this is supposed to be a work-free zone. Stop it. But yeah, it's fun. And I think it's just important to take those time outs for yourself, and do the things that you like, and get up and go out, exercise, and get some fresh air. We're almost always stuck inside, just sucking the same air and looking at a screen, and that's not healthy for anybody. So what about you, Tiago? What do you got going on? What do you do for yourself?
Well, there's there's a huge difference between doing something that you really love and you really truly believe in, as opposed to just having a job that you have to go to pay your bills and stuff like that. There's a huge difference between the amount of internal that you're able to generate. Like before, when I used to have before crypto, when I used to have a job that I hated, I started working at 9 a.m. I'd get off at 6 p.m. Monday to Friday, and I felt exhausted. Now I work 12, 14, 16 hours a day sometimes, including weekends, and I don't feel so tired. Stress is another thing, but that's in parallel. So what I do, my strategy is I have an emotional relief. So I'm a musician, a self-taught musician. I'm not trained or anything. So I do have that capacity to completely switch off for a couple of hours, just like rock climbing, basically the same. And I just go to my studio. I'm not really active as a musician nowadays, more or less, but I used to be quite active, playing in bands and producing music. And as a recording engineer, mixing engineer, mastering engineer, I did tours and stuff like that before crypto. So I still have that bug inside of me. Like
Yeah.
I really love music, and yeah, when I really need to, that stress relief, instead of taking a pill, I just go to my studio for 1 hour, hook up my guitar, put on a lot of distortion, make a lot of noise, scream into the microphone for half an hour, and then I'm like completely refreshed. It's kind of like going to the gym, and
That's
it
awesome.
really like cleanses my soul, and I'm really back to action.
That's fantastic. Yeah, it's nice to. I think it's always nice to hear those like passionate things that people get into, and I I totally agree with you on the like the job now you're working way more, and so do I. Like before this I was in nursing, and all more of my background is medical sciences, and like that's just a ton of studying all the time. Like I do my 12-hour shift and I come home and it's still patient research and care and figure out pharmacological processes and everything like that, and it's just like you never get tired of it, but it's always the same thing, and it's this to that. And I work more now, but I'm more refreshed because I actually enjoy um what I'm doing. And I think like if we're trying to tie that into the optics thing, that's even just to yourself, like your own vision of what is good to you and what's coming off to you in the best way. And it's like, yeah, it's stressful as hell, but it's stress that I like it's positive because I feel like I'm doing something I like. I feel like I'm going somewhere that I want to go. And like that looks good to me, which makes me feel better and better to do to my job and everything. I think that's a great point you brought up there for sure.
I have never had such kind of corporate 9 to 5 job. I
You're
don't
lucky.
have something to compare. By the way, Tiago, I'm now starting taking singing classes, and I'm actually going to have one today. So
Nice.
probably we can record a song one day together.
Absolutely, let's do it. Let's do it.
Yeah.
But
When you
but yeah,
guys do a conference, have like a band on the side. Like Cardwallet band.
I think a good metric for anyone out there who's tuning in, if you haven't, like, really think about how you wake up. And it's not like what Victoria was saying, like when Victoria wakes up and she's all wired up, that's because she like is worried and she wants to get on with her day. And she realized that in terms of, health, it's not healthy to have the phone on. So she puts it in airplane mode. That's another story. If you wake up like, oh my God, I have to go to work, I hate my life, you really need to do something about it. But if you wake up like, oh my God, a new day is starting, then that is a huge difference. And in terms of mental health, that is going to protect you, and it's going to just eliminate so many problems in your life. So yeah, to everyone out there, whatever it is, just find whatever makes you tick, find your passions, and do not rest until you're able to make a living out of it.
Totally agree. Yeah, it's a big deal. And I'd say just like how we come off like after a morning, like if we're tired and we didn't get it done, or you hate what you're going to do, right? That's going to come off in your communications and how you look, and maybe your mannerisms and everything, that can affect a lot of your relationships or your business or anything. I know for me, if I wake up and I'm super groggy in the morning, I get on a partnership call, and I can't even like show my face as a marketing person because I've just woken up and didn't give myself enough time to look ready. That reflects, on how those people are going to look at me and my relationships, and that makes my job harder. So always better to be ready and feel good about what you're doing. Totally right. I just like I sympathize with anybody that has kids like you, Paul, because I have no idea how I would be able to manage getting those buggers ready and feeling good and having time to do everything that we're doing.
Oh yeah, it's just trying to balance everything is it's all part of it. But as Tiago and Victoria said there, and yourself, like when you're passionate about something, when you don't mind putting in the crazy hours of work into something like crypto. For me anyway, I'm very passionate about the space and what we're all doing in it. So it's a lot easier to put nearly double the hours a week in, or probably more than double the hours a week into that than you would into a traditional job, because when you're happy to be getting up and getting into it, yeah, there's some days are extremely stressful in it and stuff like that, and you'd like to skip them, but they're all part of it. And I think what you're saying about having the pastime or the hobby in there as well, that kind of just closes your mind off from it at times, that's very, very helpful. And for me, I've kind of let that slip away. I used to have exercise and stuff like that a lot, but that's definitely something I need to improve going forward. And like, have the kids and everything as well, so they do take you away from it at times too.
Yeah. I mean, when the kids grow up, then they can take care of you after you're disheveled from being in crypto for so long.
Yeah, I wonder
Uh,
how many years or how many weeks in crypto is equal to 1 year
oh my God.
in something else. It's
I think about that. Like I started the last few days, I've been talking to people and saying like, oh, like last year, because this Bitcoin ETF, right? And there's already been ETFs in Bitcoin from different countries. So like I'm Canadian. There was 3 Bitcoin ETFs that happened in March. Um, and when I'm talking about it the last few days since the Bitcoin one came out, I'm like, oh yeah, last year there was ones in Canada that came out. And I went, no, that's only like 6 months ago. It's not last year. Like it feels so long just to do a little bit of work in crypto, like at our level anyway. It's crazy. But I think the community had a good question here. Justin M said, how do you see community outreach evolve as more mass adoption is gained? I'm gonna throw that one to you, Tiago. What are your thoughts on that? Like when mass adoption's coming, how is it going to change your outreach?
It's a double-edged sword. Yeah, so with mass adoption, that means that there's a lot of influx of new community members. So you have those numbers there, but at the same time, mass adoption means that the industry is maturing. So more and more projects are popping up. So it's a race to grab the attention of not only the veteran crypto practitioner, but also the new guys who are just learning about. Not even investors. I mean, people who are just curious. I mean, I had, for example, let me give you an example. I had a meeting a couple of weeks ago with a local company here who does real estate, and they use this software called BIM, which basically means it's a software that it's a 3D software that you can every single nut and bolt and wire and whatever it's done in this 3D model. And to become more transparent in their expenses, they came to me and asked me, okay, can we blockchain this in some way? Can we tokenize? I mean, not tokenize in terms of selling tokens or NFTs or whatever, but can we put this on the blockchain so people can actually? And I was like, oh my God, this local company that does real estate doesn't even care about the markets, doesn't even care about token price. They just want to use blockchain as a technology to become more transparent. Right. So that was like,
cool. Yeah.
Wow. And this is a really small local company. So going back to your question, things we are feeling it. I mean, I think everyone is feeling it. Mass adoption is happening. I really feel that we are at that inflection point, very similar to the mid-90s when we had like
the .com boom area.
AOL and Hotmail was just happening, and Yahoo Mail was happening, and what was MSQ, was it the chat service or whatever? But it was
MSN,
and ICQ. Sorry, ICQ.
Oh,
and
ICQ,
and it was, everything was terrible. It worked, but it was kind of terrible, but it worked, and no one used it. No one used it like for real businesses or for real communication. It was just a thing for geeks. And then all of a sudden, in just 2 or 3 or 4 years, everyone had a Gmail.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I mean, things switch crazy fast all the time.
Fast.
And I feel like you're right. That's kind of where we're at, that .com boom area. That's like I grew up in the 90s too, and that's what I saw there. And it was just like you went from no computer to everyone had one, everybody had everything. It's just insane. And ever since then, it's been increasing. I think we had a small gap, kind of later, early 2000s, I guess, and now it's just insane again. And now we have Bitcoin and blockchain, and it's going nuts too. I mean, we've been dealing with other companies, like not on-chain companies that are trying to tokenize different things like real estate and like sports results and different things to pay out bonuses and track these things a lot more easier. And like you said, have that transparency to people. One of the things I think that this will change, Justin, to answer your question from my side, is how does that change when there's more mass adoption? So previously, like up until this point, I would say, or this year in crypto, is that it was mostly, crypto nerds and tech heavy people, right? So you would do all of your articles and your websites up to match what those people are. This is a know your audience type question thing, right? And now with the regular person coming in, they're not, all of us have never been positioned in a space that we're only looking at tech or something, right? We've been conditioned to look at billboards and ads and flashy things. And I think that that's where community outreach and marketing and everything will switch to. And that's why I've been trying to do things like this and get to the community, to the regular person, do videos for partnerships instead of just a silly graphic, change things up that goes towards people's conditioning throughout their life on what advertisement is, because those are the people coming into crypto now. And that's the best way, I think, to start really showing that we aren't scary, right? Like, get the things that people are comfortable with out of the way. What do you guys think? Like, it's probably our last topic, but I think it's a great one.
Yeah, I would say
Paris Hilton even now calls herself a crypto queen. So
Oh yeah,
what can be a different sign of mass adoption?
yeah, that's true.
very
Paul?
true. Yeah, yeah. I think
Yeah.
when you look at the likes of gamification is going to be so big going forward for every
Yeah.
company to try and attract the new world market, because you look at the generation that's growing up now, like they don't know a world without a laptop or without an iPad or an iPhone or whatever. Like they're playing games from very small. Like I see my kids playing games on these devices, and they would teach me how to do things on them now at this stage. Like they're
Yeah.
only 5 and 8, but that even the generation just ahead of them, they will be coming into blockchain. They're growing up playing games, buying all these things on their games, and they're no good. Like they buy items, they waste hundreds of dollars a month if they're let do it on their parents'
Yeah.
credit cards. So
Or
when they can
more,
come to
yeah.
the next stage and realize that they can buy these items, there is secondary markets, there's an actual whole economy that can be built on that, then that's where a lot of companies will be targeting, not just the gaming companies, but even other companies that can bring in that gamification aspect into whatever product they're bringing out. If you can bring in that bit of a fun aspect, or a bit of you play to win, even if it's not an actual game company, there's a whole area there. I think a lot of companies will be going down that route, like you're saying, making things a bit fun, standing out a bit more in the market with the NFTs and stuff like that. There's that whole area, and I know there's certain companies that won't need that demographic, but there's a lot of the companies will be going after that, because they are the new generation that will be coming into this.
Absolutely. I mean, people talk about NFTs being something new, and I'm like, not really. I mean, I played World of Warcraft way back when, and guess what? There's all these tiny little things that you could pay for way back when, and that were exclusive items. I mean, the only thing that's new is putting a number, a code to it. Otherwise, before it's not a new thing of paying for little things in games and stuff, and that's why I think it'll be huge, because it's basically ingraining in a industry that already exists. So it's a really good way for that adoption to happen, and make it a little bit easier, like lowering barrier to entry in so many different ways, I think is kind of where we're moving to. And I think that's exciting. Even like we're not a front facing thing, and that's why I try and do front facing stuff. But you guys, like at Card Wallet, and you, Paul, like you guys are bringing the information to the people. You guys have a platform that people will log into every day and see, and that's totally different than like what I have to manage. So like, I'm sure that you guys are always thinking about how your designs and other things come off to the people you're using your platforms.
What I was saying before, that inflection point that I mentioned, real global mass adoption of blockchain technology will happen when people start using products and services, and they don't even realize that it's blockchain powering these solutions.
Absolutely.
Because let's be honest, the vast majority of people will not care about learning what is a private or a public key and have a crypto wallet. They just are happy living their lives. But if companies out there find solutions to existing problems, and they don't have to shove blockchain, the word blockchain or Bitcoin, or have to explain how the mechanism works, and they just put an application into their hands that they can interact with, and things just work and makes people's lives easier, just like Gmail did, then that is when things will really take off.
Yeah, I think that's great. And I think that is a great closing area. We hit our 45-minute mark, and I think that's perfect. So we're going to leave it there. If you guys have any closing bits of advice for people as we close off, I think that'd be good. Mine is try not to be emotional in trading. Try.
Mine would be next time. to have Victoria sing us a song live on the podcast.
Great advice. One bit from each of you guys as we go out, Victoria and Paul.
I really liked our part of the conversation about passion. So my best advice will be really to find your passion and invest your energy in the thing you really love. Don't spend your life on something you don't love.
Nice. Invest in your passions. That's great. Paul.
Yeah, I really
your
really
last
agree
one.
on that as well. And finding what we talked about, finding the balance as well, time away from your devices. And in terms of crypto, look, if you're here for the long term, then there's no need to check your phone every 5 minutes to see how much something's gone up or down by. It's
True.
like it doesn't matter. It's only going to cause you stress. So
Yeah.
if you can start
Says
going,
Paul, who is doing it all the time.
Yeah.
that's it. But the funny thing is, when I'm sat in the office and I'm doing work there, I check prices far less than when I step away from that. Then when I'm picking up my phone, I generally flick in every so often and check it on my phone far more than when I'm actually sat in front of all the monitors. But
Yeah.
I definitely
Totally agree with you.
I'm telling people to do it and trying to tell myself at the same time to do it as well.
Awesome. Well, thanks everybody for coming. All of Cardwallet's website is down in the description. Same with Paul's YouTube channel, also down there. Please go subscribe to Paul if you haven't already, and watch his videos. He brings a lot of good information. I know Cardwallet's probably got more good info coming out on their platform, as well as we're getting closer and closer to an actual PAB being released for Cardano, and same with us. Please subscribe and hit the bell so you know when other things are happening on this channel for different partnership announcements. And we're going to be starting our founders Charli chats for all questions from the community on Mondays, so please tune in for that. In the meantime, happy trading. Don't be emotional. Go do the things you're passionate about. Thanks for joining, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Bye.